Thanks, Simon. I'd like to call to the stage our next speaker, Tony Rivera, Managing Director of Azure Minerals. Tony is a geologist and company manager with 4 decades of experience in the mining industry. He has been responsible for the discovery of several gold and nickel deposits which have been developed into operating mines. In 2020, Tony acquired the Andover project in Western Australia for Azure, and since then, 2 nickel sulfide deposits have been discovered. More recently, exploration drilling at Andover has returned some of the highest grade lithium assays in Western Australia, demonstrating its strong potential for the project to host substantial lithium resources.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Katie, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for the opportunity to bring you the first public presentation regarding the discovery at the Andover project of a significant and substantial volume of lithium mineralisation. It's certainly an incredibly exciting time for the company. The photograph that you can see behind me is a drone shot of part of the Andover project, and it's fairly typical of the area in which we work in. So it's low rolling hills, very minor amounts of vegetation. Mostly it's rocks just sticking out of the ground. It's pretty much outcrop everywhere, and that makes the exploration fairly straightforward. So it's boots on the ground, traditional exploration methodology of mapping and sampling. Because the rocks outcrop, the mineralisation outcrops. So we've been able to find nickel and copper gossans at surface, which represent nickel and copper sulfide mineralisation beneath them. And also we have the outcropping lithium-rich pegmatites as well. So this area is remarkable in that all the mineralisation appears to stick out of the ground. Firstly, I do acknowledge the traditional owners of the Andover area, the Ngarluma people. We wouldn't be able to operate there without their consent and their cooperation, and for that I'm very grateful. So the highlights for the company are, we just announced an exploration target. This is the maiden exploration target for the lithium mineralisation that we've identified there. So the target is 100 million tonnes minimum, up to upper range of 240 million tonnes, the grade ranging between about 1 to 1.5% Li2O. So that particular size of potential resource, that exploration target that we've published, would put Andover project into the top 10 in the world, potentially in the top 5 in the world if we get to the upper part of that range. So this is a very substantial lithium project. The opportunity and the potential of the project was recognised very early on, not only by ourselves, but also by SQM. SQM are the world's 2nd largest lithium producer. They have a very large brine operations in Chile, but they also are building in joint venture with Wesfarmers the Mount Holland lithium project, not too far from Kalgoorlie. So they identified the potential, they approached us and voluntarily offered to contribute about $20 million for about 20% of the company. And having SQM come on board was a very strong endorsement for the potential of Andover. And that potential is now being realised with a very large drilling program. We estimate that we'll probably drill about 100,000 metres in calendar year 2023. And to this date, this time it started in March, and up till now we've drilled about 35,000 to 40,000 metres so far of a combined both diamond and RC drilling. On the back of that drilling program, we expect to be able to publish a maiden mineral resource for the lithium project in the first quarter of next year. So it's certainly a very, very, very busy time. And, oh, by the way, we also have discovered 2 nickel sulfide deposits which total about 6 million tonnes of 1.5% nickel equivalent, for around about 100,000 tonnes of contained nickel plus copper plus cobalt. Those discoveries occurred in the first 2 years of the project. We have actually parked the nickel exploration to one side for the moment, while the focus is very much on the lithium. Just corporately, a very quick snapshot here. We've got about 390 million shares on issue. Share price has been just going up like a rocket in the last few weeks and couple of months, and our share price has gone from maybe 30 cents at the beginning of the year to nearly $3 today. The market cap of the company commensurately has gone from 70 million up to over $1.1 billion. So that's a huge uplift in valuation for the company, and that is all a reflection of the discovery of the lithium mineralisation. As you can see there, we've got SQM as the major shareholder with 19.99%, but we also have Mark Creasy in there as well with 13%. And this project was acquired from Mark Creasy. It's a joint venture. We bought the 60% from him in about 3 years ago, and he retains his 40%, which is free carried through to the decision to mine stage. One of the great aspects of this particular project is its location. It's in the West Pilbara region of Western Australia. It's iron ore mining territory. So it's a 2-hour plane flight from Perth to Karratha. Half an hour's drive along the Northwest Coastal Highway takes us through the northeastern part of the project area. We've got a gas pipeline, a water pipeline, high voltage power lines all running through the project area, all of which are available for commercial offtake subject to negotiations and agreements. To the south of us, we have Rio Tinto's iron ore mining operations, and one of their export train lines runs up our western tenement boundary up to Cape Lambert and the far northern part of the peninsula there on the top right-hand side of the photograph. Offshore, you've got Woodside, Chevron with their oil and gas production facilities. Onshore, there's LNG processing facilities on the Burrup Peninsula. The Port of Dampier is a commercial port there for bulk cargo exports. So what we see here with the location of Andover is you literally could not get a better located project for a mining and processing operation. We zoom in a little bit into the project area itself. It's made up of 3 exploration licences, which are shown there in blue outline. And we've also got in red, we have the outcropping pegmatites that we have mapped and sampled. And they're all located within a triangular wedge between 2 major fault zones that are about 9 kilometres long in an east-west direction and up to 5 kilometres north-south. And there's literally hundreds and hundreds of pegmatites outcropping. A large number of those have visible spodumene in them, and rock chip sampling that we've carried out there, over 1,100 rock chip samples, we've got very high grades of lithium at surface. These would have to be probably the highest grade rock chip samples for lithium anywhere in Western Australia. We've started drilling back in March with 2 diamond drills, and we've currently got 6 rigs in operation, 4 diamond drills and 2 RC drills going vigorously and with the drilling, and all of the drilling to date has been focused into that target area number 1, which is shown there with a black square around it. And if we zoom into that project, that area now, this is the area we've focused all of the drilling on for the last 4 or 5 months. To date, we've completed about 50 diamond holes and 100 RC holes for a total of around about 35,000 metres just in this area. And the drilling is on a pattern of around about 100 metre spaced lines and 50 metre spaced holes along those lines, with the intention of being of a close enough drill spacing to support a mineral resource estimate for this target area number 1. There's 2 cross-section lines on there that's shown there in black. And I'll go show those in a second, but just to point out that there are multiple stacked pegmatites here. They're dipping towards the northwest, mostly in parallel with each other, and those pegmatites are continuous for over 2 kilometres in length along this slide. So when we look at the cross sections here, we're getting remarkably thick zones of mineralisation. These are just some of the diamond drill holes. We haven't released the RC information yet. That's going to be coming out in the next week or so. But here you can see the width of the mineralisation in these pegmatite zones is quite remarkable. We're talking over 100 metres of true width, and a couple of very large intersections we reported last Friday, one of which was 209 metres at 1.4% lithium, and the other was at 183 metres at 1.2%. So very broad zones of mineralisation. These would have to be some of the widest zones of lithium mineralisation ever reported in Western Australia and potentially globally as well. So there's a lot of drilling that's been going on, and all the focus has been into that target area number 1. And as a result, we've been able to produce and publish some of these most amazing drill results there. You can see a lot of them are over 100 metres with very wide zones of true width as well. This is what the, this is what the high-grade mineralisation looks like. This is all plus 4% lithium in some pieces of drill core that came from hole 208. The lithium mineralisation is hosted in the mineral spodumene, which is the preferred lithium mineral. Spodumene is shown there in these photographs as these white or very pale grey crystals. So they can be very coarse at times and very visible in the drill core. And as a result of that visibility that we see of the mineralisation in the drill core, we're able to plan and execute our exploration drilling program well in advance of receiving the assays. So the assays might take 3 or 4 weeks to come back from the completion of a particular drill hole, but we actually know whether we can see the visual mineralisation, and we therefore are able to plan and execute that drilling going forward in complete confidence that we're actually hitting good mineralisation. There's also a lot of spodumene mineralisation, which is quite fine-grained as well. So the mineralisation here is a combination of coarse and fine. So where to from here? Well, the drilling that's been undertaken to date, 150 RC and diamond drill holes in that target area number 1, which is in that black box, is nearing completion. 2 of the diamond rigs have now moved up into target area number 2, which is an area where we carried out heritage and environmental surveys over the past couple of months, and we've received clearances to drill in there, so the drills are now moving into target area number 2. That particular area is very attractive for us because there's 3 large and quite fat pegmatites at surface that contain a large amount of spodumene in the outcrops, and we were getting very high grades of lithium from the surface sampling that we're doing. So we've got 2 rigs going into target area number 2, and we should be able to report some information on our progress there in the near future. And target area number 3 is the third area that we'll be testing shortly. We'll be moving some rigs down there as soon as we complete the resource drill out in area 1. And so we will have, once again, 6 rigs operating in 2 different areas, and we expect to be able to announce ongoing good results from certainly the surface expression of what we're seeing there. If that's replicated in the diamond drill holes, then we'll be able to report some more stunning results. So where to from here going forward? Well, we have that exploration target. That is a very large number. 100 million up to 240 million tonnes would put us into the top 4 or 5 in Australia if we can prove that up into the resource stage. To convert that into from the exploration target stage into the mineral resource stage takes a lot of drilling. So we've got 100,000 metres of drilling planned and budgeted for this year, and that drilling is going to be just continuing on throughout this year. And to be honest, I expect that we'll be continuing to drill throughout next year as well, just continuing to drill out these abundant pegmatites that we can see throughout the Andover area. We're confident enough that in the project and the substance of the project that we have commenced a lot of the studies that will form part of a scoping study. So we've got metallurgical test work underway, geotechnical and mining studies will get underway shortly. Heritage surveys are always ongoing, as are the environmental baseline studies, which were actually started about 2 years ago for the scoping study we did for the nickel. But those environmental baseline studies are now continuing into the new areas, and also hydrological studies for groundwater as well. So there's a lot of work going into what will be a scoping study, which we aim to complete and publish sometime in 2024. So we've got a lot of work going on up there. It's an amazing amount of exploration activity happening. This is one of the great recent discoveries in Western Australia, and it's highly exciting for us, but I also believe it's highly exciting for the industry at large, because nothing is more exciting than discovering new deposits, whether it's gold, whether it's lithium, whether it's nickel. And when you can discover deposits which are potentially of the size and scale that Andover is looking like now, it's incredibly exciting, and we're really looking forward to a very positive and I'll say the word again, exciting journey going forward. Thank you very much for your time.